Hello, everyone. I'm Premal Patel. I am the CEO of Healthy Minds Club UAE, and I'm delighted to introduce Series 2 of the Wellbeing Majlis podcast. This is a podcast which is associated with the Healthy Minds Arabia magazine. What we'll be doing is, again, bringing experts and practitioners to come and share their backstories, their best practices and techniques, and how they actually support the UAE community to improve healthier minds and their well-being. So let's begin. Today, I'm actually joined by someone who has a truly remarkable career. This career spans 2 decades and across 3 continents, 14 countries, and really focused on people and culture. And now she is a qualified and certified strategist around people and culture, but on strengths, and also as a strengths coach, a certified yoga and breathwork practitioner. This individual is now one of our key experts on the Healthy Minds Club UAE. Vinita, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Great. Good to have you here. And, Vinita, this is like series 2 of the Wellbeing Majlis podcast. So thank you for being with us. And I want to start with, your impressive career, 20 years of people and culture. What's your backstory? Where did it start? How did you get in this space? What's happening in your world?
So a lot of people don't know, but I started my career in finance and then I transitioned into human capital. And it's always been about people. I like working with people. I like to understand who they are, what they're good at, and really leverage that and harness that into like a single-minded outcome. This has really always been what I've been about.
What is it about people that you really enjoy? Because obviously you've gravitated, from finance to more of a people career. But what is it? Why are people so interesting? What's happening?
They're complex. And one size does not fit all. Right? It's challenging. Human capital is a challenging career. And because you're always balancing the business side of things, and I'm business minded, I always have been. So I'm quite commercially astute. But it's about leveraging the people's skills, understanding who they are. How is it that you can work with them? How is it that you can direct people? How is it that you can help them understand what they're good at? And also help them understand what is it, how is it that they can work together to deliver the organization outcome?
So there's 2 things I want to just pick on what you've just said. One, you mentioned human capital. To me, that sounds very functional and transactional, like human capital. And then the second thing is, how do they work towards achieving the organization's goals? But what about their own and what they want to do? So
absolutely. Yeah,
talk to me about that.
It's a great point. So the reason I call it human capital is every organization has assets, and you always call that asset a capital. So I don't like to call it human resources because people, yes, we are all resources in some way, but I feel that you don't capture the essence of an individual. People are complex, as I've said. They have their own desires. They have their own ambitions. And the reason I call it capital is because in order to understand how to get the best out of that capital, you need to understand them. Right? So this is why, for me, I really see it as a positive thing. When you invest your capital. When you want to protect something, you want to protect your capital. So you always hear organizations saying that people are the most important part of their business.
You hear that everywhere, right?
Yes, but is that really true? Are they really truly understanding the nuances of their people? Are they really understanding what they're good at? Are they really guiding them appropriately? And that includes leaders. Leaders are as much a part of the equation as humans are, as like employees are. We're all employees at the end of the day.
It sort of, to me, it just feels a little bit, I don't know, we're digging a little bit into this, but it feels a little bit like human capital and that dichotomy against, we're talking about humans, people with feelings and emotions.
Absolutely.
Right? So that whole thing around it's human capital just sort of takes away a little bit of that feeling and emotional side. But we seem to be moving in a world where, you know, emotional intelligence is becoming more important. The feelings, the way people really do, you know, behave in the workplace, it's all becoming really important, even more important nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, you know, stress levels are so high in organization, the pressure to deliver, to do more with less. We've always been on this trajectory. That's why organizations exist. But I feel like it's more than ever. The expectations from leaders and then subsequently on their teams. And I think, you know, from my observation in all the years that I've worked, I've sat on both sides of the table. I've been an employee trying to get my voice heard, wanting to get my voice heard, wanting to deliver, wanting to get the best out. I've also sat on the other side as a leader. I have deliverables and I want to, and I need to get my team to be productive and focused because that's what we're there for. But how is it that you do that? What are the tools that you need to deliver on those?
So you've been on the side of you want to get your voice heard, get your ideas across the table, and no doubt it feels you've probably been, you know, stemmed as well, like blocked in those situations. Walk us through that. I mean, how does that feel when you're not heard and your voice is not put on the table?
It's a great question, you know, and my journey has come from that, where on the outside, it seemed like I had a very successful career, but on the inside, I was running on empty as well. And a lot of the work that I do has come from my own journey, because at that time, I did not have the tools and the guidance to know how to get visibility, because I do two things, right? Like I guide people on career visibility, because a lot of times people are in those situations, and I've been in that situation where I have great ideas, but I'm not being heard. And how is it that you position yourself strategically, do the projects, in a structured manner, deliver work structured, understand what is it that the leadership, the language that they need to hear, the level of detail that you need to get into or not get into. And then as well, like, you know, so there's that aspect of it. The other aspect of what I do is really self-regulation. That's how people who succeed, they know how to self-regulate. They know they have the tools to understand, you know, like the breath work and the mindfulness, the awareness. A lot of how we operate in the world has to do with self-awareness. Where is my head at the moment? Am I reacting or am I responding?
I love that.
Those are tools that you can learn them. And that's what I do.
So you are now a certified practitioner in yoga and breathwork.
Yes.
Why have you picked those two sort of modalities and expertise areas? Or, you know, I'm sure there might be other areas as well, but those two specifically, why are they so important?
I've been practicing yoga for almost 20 years now. And what I have found, and this, to me, this is the infrastructure of your being, right? Breathwork, mindfulness, yoga, your body. These are the tools that we have immediately available to us. Breathwork is the easiest because we all have a nose, we all breathe. It's very practical. These are not indulgences. They are our very essence. And I've been practicing yoga for so many years. The stress that you feel in your body when you're in yoga can be translated into the real world. You're sitting in a boardroom. People are asking you questions. Why are the numbers not right? Why are the sales targets
those why
off?
questions.
Why? What have you done about it? And that stress that you feel immediately, it's natural. It's a part of our physiology, but you can regulate it with your breath, with your body. You can still your heart, you can still your mind, you can still your gaze, and you can focus. And because you have the answers, you just have to be still enough and calm enough to respond to them.
And those are the things you could do at anywhere, anytime.
Yes.
Right? Because it's part of you, right? It's just how you control it and how you manage that yourself.
Yeah,
right?
like before a stressful board meeting, before a difficult conversation, during a difficult conversation, these things take a lot from you. And I think we don't understand the kind of pressures that leaders are under nowadays. They are not superhuman. They are normal human beings just like us who are ambitious. And ambitious takes courage. Ambitious takes awareness. Ambition requires self-regulation. And your breath is the easiest tool.
Okay.
But in addition to that, there are also mindfulness practices. Why is meditation so talked about nowadays? Why is mindfulness so spoken about? Because they are all tools that we have for creating awareness, for understanding ourselves. Before we can even understand someone else, we need to know
that's
ourselves.
true.
What are our triggers?
Yeah, you got to know yourself, right?
Yeah.
And be more in control of yourself.
I don't like to
Is it?
use the word control.
Okay.
Because it sort of denotes that you have control or that you're able to. I like to call it regulation because we are always going to have triggers. I have my triggers. I know the things that upset me. But when I'm in a workplace, I'm working with different people and with a lot of people. And the higher you go, the more responsibility you have. So you have the responsibility of the business. You also have the responsibility of providing your team with clarity, of providing them with respect, of creating an environment where they are able to thrive because they grow, you grow.
Of course.
That's how it
But
works.
there's so much pressure on leaders now.
Yes.
You got to think about so many things. I mean, I know I've done a 30-year corporate career, right? And I remember 20 years ago, nobody ever thought about mindfulness, yoga, self-regulation. It was probably there, but no one ever talked about it. And we just got on with the job. But it just feels like now there's this pressure of delivery, pressure of managing change, and then this pressure of I've got to think about everybody else and got to think about my impact on others. Oh my God, there's just so much for a leader to think about.
Absolutely. It's not easy. But I believe that if there's a problem that comes to you, it's coming to you because you have a solution for it. You wouldn't have the problem if you were not able to solve it, right? And also the world that we live in today is different. Perhaps we were doing mindfulness, but we were not sitting 10 minutes cross-legged chanting something.
True.
But we had our families.
Yeah.
Probably there was a church that we went to or a place of worship, or perhaps there was some sort of an infrastructure at home that we perhaps did not need to do that. This is the need of the hour. The stresses are different right now. And yes, pressure on leaders is increasing.
Okay.
So I feel that the responsibility lies with leadership as well as the employees. No one's going to come and save you.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think we have to stop waiting for people to manage us, waiting for our environments to change, our bosses to change. Those are good things sometimes, but we have to take ownership.
Yeah,
if I want
good.
to get ahead, I need to take ownership of myself. I'm responsible for my career. There might be tools to enable it, to guide me. But at the end of the day, if I want to get ahead, I need to do what I need to do to get ahead. If I want to make more money, I need to seek that out. A leader can provide an environment, but the responsibility is on both sides.
So you said something earlier, and it's just sort of going around in my head now. You said the pressures today are different. Why are they? I mean, not even the why question. What is making today's world so much different? What versus, let's say, 10 years ago?
Geopolitical issues, for one, competitiveness, technology. I've always said we live in a VUCA world, right? We've heard this term thrown around for a long time. And
just for the audience, what's
volatile,
VUCA?
Uncertain, chaotic. So it is uncertain, right? And so when the number of people, the kind of jobs, the pressure, the profit margins, everything is different, right? And it's normal.
It feels like the pace is just increased.
It's faster.
Such a fast pace now to do everything. You got to deliver faster. You got to manage change faster. You got to, travel faster. You got to do everything fast.
Yes,
right?
It's always more and more and more. And I like the new generation. I know, I forget, what is it? Gen X, Gen Z.
Yeah.
They're getting a lot of flack, but they ask for what they want. Mental wellness is not an indulgence.
Do. You're absolutely right.
It's not an indulgence. They understand that they need to be mentally sound to create, like a lot of the startups. They're so they really own themselves.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
true.
that.
Yeah.
And I think, we also have a responsibility to ourselves and to those around us. How is it that we can be good leaders the world is what it is, right? The world is not going to adapt to us. We need to adapt to the world.
So how have so let's talk about Gen Z, right? Because they're like obviously the upcoming entrepreneurs. They're doing lots of startups, lots of ideas. How have they sort of suddenly got to a point where they're not afraid to ask for what they want? Whereas I think, years ago, maybe when I was a Gen Z, I wouldn't even ask anything.
Yes.
In a corporate world, I was working in a bank, right? And it was like a hierarchical way. And if you asked for anything, you'd be like thrown out the door,
Yeah.
and nobody would care. It was like, you do it in their terms, as opposed to now, it's like they're just so straightforward and say, well, this is what I want, or I'm going to find something else.
They're bolder. They really are. And I think we have also raised them a certain way, right? We went through our journey, and we don't want them to go through the same thing. So I feel like, we are instrumental in also giving them the space to ask for what they want. So it's probably a combination of things. And it's okay that they ask for it. No one should be dimming your light. I say this to a lot of women, right? Because it's challenging in the workplace. And I'm like, don't allow anyone to dim your light, because I've had my light dimmed. I don't want to do it to anyone else,
and if you don't ask, you don't get.
You don't ask,
right?
You don't get.
So,
and like I've been at the other end where I've worked a lot, and I've worked to get ahead, probably without the reward for the work that I was doing. So why should someone else have to go through that journey? It's not the right way to do it.
Be rewarded for it.
Be rewarded for
That's
it. And if you don't ask, you don't get. And maybe the worst thing is that someone says no. That's the worst that can happen, right?
How bad is it? If they say no, okay, fine, you move on.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Most people, I never hear the word no. Whenever someone says no to me, I don't hear it anymore. I always look at no as a no, not now.
That's a great way of seeing it. And I would say to all the people who are struggling to be heard, to become visible, to all those people who are hearing no, okay, yes, exactly. It's no, not for now. Not no forever.
In 3 months, things might be different. And that no could turn into a yes. Who knows,
exactly.
Right?
Your environment can change. Like we talk about the pace of change, right? But even within organizations, there are mergers, there is acquisitions, there is divestitures, there's a change in direction. You don't know. So yes, today might be difficult, but know that there are tools that you have available to you to weather the storm or to weather the now until you come out on the other side. And someone might see or understand your brilliance. You will see your own brilliance, and you will start to amplify it in the right way.
Yeah. So look, right now, there's a big trend on well-being, whether you're an employee or whoever you are. People are really taking well-being seriously.
Yes.
And they're investing, time and cash to make that work for them. What's happening in the world? This whole movement towards well-being and wellness and that area. I mean, it's just booming right now.
Yeah.
What's your view on that?
I think it's really important, honestly. Like we talk about the fact that life is stressful. When life is stressful, you need tools to manage the stress. Our brain structure is still fight or flight. It's just how we're created, right? So all of these are tools, and they're very important tools, and they're not difficult. Mindfulness, when you sit in silence for 10 minutes, does not even have to be for 40 minutes. I've done 40-minute meditations, right?
Okay.
And as I've evolved, like the demands on my time are greater now, but sitting in silence for 10 minutes over time, there's nowhere to go. You're not all of a sudden going to wake up the next day and be like a sea of calm. No, you're still going to have your triggers. You're still going to have those issues. But if you take 10 minutes every day, sit in silence, you will see over the span of a few days, not even a month. Okay. It's a matter of a few days. How is it that you conduct yourself? You're sitting in traffic, someone cuts you off. Normally, you would lose it.
Road rage.
Oh my God. And that would carry on into all the other areas. No, perhaps you get upset. Perhaps you honk at the person, but you are centered. Or you say, you know what, maybe this person has to get somewhere. Why don't I allow that person the benefit of the doubt? Or why don't I not put myself in danger and allow them to go, and I carry on my merry way. I have bigger things to focus on.
100%. You know, I'm a real life experience of that. You know, I used to at one point, hard-nosed sales commercial guy, go, used to get angry when things didn't happen, you know, my way or just didn't happen that way. And over the last couple of years, I've just started to put some discipline in what I do, you know, my morning routine, you know, things, you know, I don't let anyone disturb my morning coffee peace. You know, when I have that coffee, I need to have it in peace and quiet, in my quiet zone. That's my time.
And maybe
right?
that's your meditation.
Yeah, it's half an hour in the morning, I'm done. And to be honest, I'm so much calmer these days, no matter what life has thrown my way, right? It just does. And you just go, okay, do you know what? This is part of life. It's a test. I've got to just get on with it. And, you know, why am I going to get upset and emotional over something that actually it has come and gone?
You choose your mindfulness. For some people, mindfulness can happen while they're brushing their teeth. For some people, it can happen over a cup of coffee. For some people, it can happen when they are cleaning their car.
Sure.
You know, so most cultures have a practice of doing some type of physical work. And the Japanese always talk about this. You know, when you are engaged physically, you're so present with what you are doing. And mindfulness is nothing more than being present in your life. Like, you need to be a witness to your own life. If we're distracted thinking about that thing that needs to happen at another time and place, you can't do anything about that. Life is happening now, not tomorrow, not yesterday.
That's true. It's absolutely right now in this moment. You know, we've chosen to be here to do this conversation, you know, or we could have chosen not to do it, right? And
but how do you arrive? This is the thing. It's not so easy. We have so many distractions, so many demands. When I think about a leader, you know, who has to meet with his boss and talk, or her boss rather, to talk about the numbers, right? And she probably has a family at home and she has her team to manage. To be present is not easy.
No.
You need tools and you need someone to work with.
And to be really present and lean in that moment.
And someone to hold you accountable. Like for me, when I work with my clients, I am vested in what they want to achieve. I care.
Yeah.
Because I do. Not because I get paid to do it, but I genuinely care. And I think this was always a difference how I observed. When I worked with my leaders, I really wanted them to shine. They also get nervous.
Of course.
They, you know, the pressures.
Everyone get nervous.
And it was, I used to work with them. I used to go through their presentations with them, highlight, like, focus on this, make sure that you speak about this, have your talking points. So you do need an accountability partner, an HR business partner. This is what they do. They work with the business to understand it, you know, like to ensure that you have the right people. I call it human capital, but that is, we're all human capital.
But HR should be that business partner, sort of like providing that sort of the ear, the sort of sounding board, the sort of the person that can help leaders. But HR gets swamped with so many things to do. It's like admin, tick box, loads of things they have to tick, training, admin, you name it, you know, exit interviews, recruitment, so many things. They don't know. I mean, I worked in an organization where our HR had no time at all to sit with me as a leader and figure out, okay, you know what? How do we work together? How do we, you know, do this? And it was more like they were just, we're just so busy, we have no time.
And that's the worst thing an HR should be saying, is busy being with operational work. That's called busy being busy. That's really not how you're going to grow. And even for HR professionals who want to grow and want to show their value to the business, and anyone who is in a similar role, it's not just HR, and you can be in accounting or in procurement and find yourself in the same situation, right?
Yeah, true.
And you can't, you know, so you have to set your own boundaries. You have to be clever and you have to be confident enough to speak up and say, I don't believe that this is where I'm adding value. Can we please relook at this? Can I automate? We talk about AI. AI is brilliant at automating tasks. That's what it's there for. So it's about leveraging technology, maybe getting a different skill set, maybe re-looking at your processes. And that responsibility also rests with the leaders. A lot of CEOs and CFOs, they come from like financial backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
And for them, HR, it's something to do what they don't want to do a lot of times.
But you talked about AI. But that becomes a scary thing for many, because as soon as they bring in some AI tools, the natural like mindset starts going into, oh, is AI going to start taking my job? So people just carry on doing what they're doing without bringing AI or more efficient tools, because they think, okay, if I do all of this, then I've got a big job here to do. No one can replace me. Eventually it happens. But, you know, bringing it as a HR leader in, you know, it takes a lot of courage, right? Because you don't know how this thing will just, you know, move and evolve within the organization and eventually could wipe out a big part of the team.
We've never known the impact of technology. And technology has been part of our journey. Always. We don't know. And it's okay not to know. Of course, it's scary. But the thing is, if you want to grow, it's uncomfortable. Growth is never comfortable. Growth is never easy. And the thing is, AI is not going anywhere. So you either work with it. Eventually, it might replace you. You can also see it another way. We all have things that we don't like to do in our jobs, right?
That's
if
true.
You can use AI to do that, you know, like everyone complains about, oh, I have to do admin tasks. Okay, imagine, like, use AI to do those tasks. But then don't complain when you have to do something more.
Keep the door open for AI. That's my view. I think, you know, open it and open it wide.
Learn it, understand it, work. Everything is scary until you become comfortable with it.
Learn how to apply the right tools. And I think, you know, things become more efficient and you can do the stuff, the cool stuff you want to work on, you know, the good projects you want to work on.
But that's scary. And if people say that I want to grow, well, then be ready to come under the line of fire.
You hear that so much. Everyone's saying, yeah, I want to grow, I want to develop, whatever. But most people have no idea what they want to grow into or how they want to develop.
And what do you want? Why do you want to do it? Do you want more money? It's a reasonable reason. It's okay to want more money. And you should, of course. But then with the higher up you go, the more responsibility you have, the more questions are going to be asked, you know, like we all exist in an organization to serve a purpose. No one should be in your organization who's not really there for a reason. That's the very definition of dead weight, right? So if you say you want to grow, if you say you want visibility, be ready to answer the difficult questions. And, you know, like even as leaders, you know, like that's also part of the grooming, right? You ask the difficult question and you help the person to understand that, hey, now that you're in this position, if you want to be a CHRO or a CEO, they are answering the difficult questions. They are working on it. We don't always have the answers, but at least understand that this is the information that I need. This is how I need to refocus my team. Perhaps we should not be spending time on this. And let me re-look at our process just because I've always done something this way.
I remember a few times, you know, being in board meetings and being asked a difficult question. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't know the answer. And I just got to a point, I said, you know, I don't know. I said, I don't know the answer. Out. Yeah, exactly. And I'll say, I'll come back to you in the next day or by the end of the day and I'll figure it out for you. And that just stops further questioning deeper, because then I think some boards will always go in and say, oh, you don't know. Okay, let's keep prompting that and say, why don't you know? You should have done this. As soon as you say, I don't know, it's like, it's dead. There and then it's finished.
And at the same time frame, you know, like you would have come back the next day. You would have gone back, you would have looked at it and you would have prioritized that. And then also it's a team, like, you know, none of us succeeds on our own. So it's really about saying, hey, you know what, this is a priority. Let's be responsible. Trust and credibility are built one action at a time. And again, I would say the onus is, of course, you know, like a leader and employers need to create an environment where their teams can express themselves and everything. But as an employee, you also have a responsibility if you're going to go back and forget about it. And I have seen that. I've seen people
Yeah, I've
who
seen that as
say,
well. You're
I
right.
want to grow, I want to succeed.
Yeah.
Okay, but then don't make me chase you.
Yeah. Come back when you said by 5 o'clock tomorrow you're going to give me something. Give it, bring it
Yes.
at the right time.
And better
You
if
know.
you can do it by 4:30,
Yeah, exactly.
because
Yeah.
that tells me that you are invested in your
Yeah.
own growth.
You're right.
You have to be invested
Of
in
course.
your own growth.
Yeah. And that sort of togetherness of working together becomes really important,
Yes.
and then part of, sort of a segue into like Healthy Minds Club that, we've created this sort of togetherness and a bit of a unified group of experts. You're one of our experts, right? And I know sort of it's still sort of a bit early days and we're sort of trying to find our way in terms of how we scale and grow this thing. But what's why are these type of sort of like, offerings, platforms, etc., important now, in your opinion? What's making it happen out there, and why would any corporates or clients or anyone even be interested in sort of coming into something like this?
It's a great question, right? So the medical world treats the outcome. They don't treat the cause of it. And a lot of lifestyle diseases that we have, cholesterol, stress, heart attacks, burnout, etc., the origin of that is the irregulation in your body. Healthy Minds becomes very important because it's a platform, it's affordable, and you have a variety of experts out there. Someone might need strength coaching. Someone might need some sort of a healing. Then with Healthy Minds, you have a suite of benefits.
Yeah.
You have a suite of offerings, and it's affordable. I know people who have needed counseling, but it's been too expensive.
Right.
And wellness should not only be for the wealthy. Wellness should be accessible
It's for everyone.
to everyone. We all need it. Our delivery drivers who are navigating traffic and the heat to bring us what we need, they are entitled to it as much as a CEO and a board member and a middle manager. The middle managers are probably right now the most squeezed people in a corporate environment because they have down, they have up. It's not easy.
They're getting it from all sides, right?
Yes. And we have such high expectations from our leaders. Yes, we get paid well. Yes, we have an obligation to deliver. And we want to. We most leaders, most people I know, they really want to do their best. But who is supporting them? We all need support,
of course.
right? And this is why Healthy Minds becomes so important, because it is a platform that's easily available. It's affordable. It fills a gap that the medical community or the medical insurance organizations cannot. And that's not a bad thing.
No.
There is enough space.
Right.
There is enough space for everyone.
But people have, and you're right, it's important, I suppose, and this is why we're trying to do this important work and get it out into the big bad world. But so many people fear like owning up to needing some kind of well-being support.
Yeah.
So this whole sort of area of confidentiality and like, who do I trust in the organization to help me and all of that. What's your perspective there?
Yeah, I do understand, right? Vulnerability is not seen as a strength, right? But actually sensitivity, vulnerability is the greatest strength, to actually own up, as you say, and say, hey, I don't know. I need support. I really want to deliver, but these are my gaps. And I have made that mistake, by the way, for not asking for support. And I was drowning.
For yourself?
Yeah, for myself. I was drowning in work. I needed help, but I did not feel like I could. Because I also come from that generation where we are, told to like,
just keep going, right?
keep going. And everyone's like, oh my God, Vinita is so resilient. But Vinita was also running on empty until Vinita took ownership of herself and said, hey, I need to look after myself. I need to put on my own oxygen mask before I can help someone else.
But was there a trigger point that you suddenly just realized, you know what, this is it from today onwards, I can't do this anymore?
It's always an accumulation of events. One thing will happen and you snap, or
Yeah.
something happens. There always is that
Mm.
point, right? But it's never one point. It happens over a period of time where you start feeling disengaged, or you could be doing
Mm.
better, or you're there but you're not really present. You feel sad. Some people feel depressed. Some people feel angry. Everyone will have different things. Or you go home and you snap at your loved one.
Sure.
You don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, of course.
They should not be bearing the brunt
Yeah.
of your office work.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep saying self-regulation is
Of course. Yeah.
the people who succeed, they're not waiting for their environment to change. They are taking
They change it.
ownership.
Yeah,
They're changing it
100%.
because your
Yeah.
inner world
Yeah.
is a reflection. Your
Yeah.
outer world actually is a reflection of your inner world.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. I have witnessed it firsthand. I'm a big believer of the inner work to impact your outer
Yeah,
work.
agreed. I mean, I remember, in London, everyone commutes, quite far to go to work and whatever
Yeah.
else, right? So most often when I'm sort of coming back after a busy, busy day on that train, coming back, I'll get to my door and I'll literally spend 2-3 minutes just breathing through before I walk through that door. Because I want to just put everything that was on the workplace, all that pressure out before I walk through and see my kids, see my dogs, see the family, and so I don't take it inside the house.
Yeah.
So, some of my friends and everyone thinking, what, you just stand outside your door and just, for 2-3 minutes. And that's what I did for a few years.
It's a practice.
And rather than just go straight through, because
Yes.
if I go straight through, I'm taking it all in with me.
That's why it's really
Yeah.
good when you get home after a day of work is to take a shower.
Yeah.
So you're literally washing it, change your clothes, wash your feet, leave the energy of work behind. It's okay if you
Yeah.
need to continue working
Okay.
later on, that's fine.
Brilliant.
But at least when you step inside, and it's such a small, basic thing to do.
Yeah.
And that's also your 5 minutes that you have to yourself
Yeah.
before you go and whether you're a parent or a pet
Yeah.
parent or whatever it is,
Yeah,
or
of
to
course.
yourself.
Yeah.
For people who are single, right?
Yeah.
They also like their time to unwind and to gather their energies again and to do something fun,
Yeah,
to be
of
with their
course. That's
friends
it.
or read a book.
Life's there to enjoy. You got to enjoy your life, and some people just go through life just thinking, it's like a doom and gloom, and it's not. There's so
Life
much to
is
live
meant
for.
to be joyful. Even
Yeah.
work is meant to be
Of
joyful.
course.
I used to have so much fun at work. Really, honestly.
Yeah.
Yes, it's hard, but we want that. We like a challenge as human beings.
Yeah.
We're
And dealing with
created.
people is fun.
It's fun.
You learn from each other. You bounce things around or whatever. It's brilliant.
And you have to love,
Yeah.
look, we all have difficult people.
Yeah.
We always have that one person or
Of
that one
course.
leader who really
Yeah.
there's always a problem, right? And if you can learn to laugh and say, all right, let me sit
Yeah.
down. Let me try and understand. I don't know if I can solve it for you,
Yeah.
but let me try and understand it and let's see what we can do.
course.
And they'll come back the next day and you're like, hey, can we have a coffee together? Let me understand again.
Yeah.
Maybe you can, maybe you can't solve it, but at least you come at it from
Yeah.
a place of seeking to understand, rather
Yeah.
than thinking, oh my God, this person again.
Yeah, no, I always go throughout my career, Vanessa, I used to go through with a view that if I please 80% of the people most of the time, I'm doing okay. If I try and please 100% of the people, it just never works. You just can't. You can't please 100% of the people. It just doesn't happen. And
I like that you're saying that, right? Because
Right.
there are people out there, they have the capability, really. They're very hardworking and they have the ability,
Yeah.
they're passionate, but they're not receiving the recognition. Why is that? I
Yeah.
like that you said 80%.
Yeah.
Don't try and be a people pleaser 100% of the
Yeah.
time. Those people don't always progress in their
Yeah,
careers.
agreed. What are your sort of as we start closing out on this conversation, but what are your sort of final sort of views on just on the work that you're doing, what's happening in the UAE market? How is that sort of working out for you in terms of the breath work, the practitioner that you're doing? And tell me about that.
Let me start with the UAE
Mm.
market, right? There's a lot of awareness. We are very blessed to live in a country that embraces wellness.
Mm.
And there is a lot more awareness. Dubai has so many yoga studios and places, where you can practice mindfulness. So the UAE is definitely ripe for that. I feel like organizations are it's not been in organizational culture traditionally over here, but because the awareness is coming from the leadership of the country, and you see all of these practices, I can see it slowly coming into organizations. My takeaway is, don't wait for your environment to change. Take the first step. It's easy.
But it's all accessible, right? There's so much.
I'm so accessible. I will always start with a discovery call. I want to understand you. I want to understand where you're at, what success looks like to you. Pick up, get in touch. Let's do a discovery session. It doesn't cost anything. And let's work. There are tools. You can do it. There are people there to support you. I want to see people succeed.
And you never know where this initial conversation can lead,
Absolutely.
right? For yourself and for the wider community, right? It just takes one conversation it's a bit like a snowball, as it comes down the mountain, it just gains momentum, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, you start to change, right? And all of a sudden, people feel the impact of that.
You're right. They see that change. They see the positivity.
See it, and they start picking up on it, So take that first step for yourself.
Right. So if you had to leave the audience a couple of key tips or a key message that you want to leave the audience, if you look into that camera over there, what do you want to say to the audience?
Take the first step. It's okay. It's easy. Pick up the phone, book that appointment, and know that the change that you seek is accessible, it's easy, and just do it.
Vinita, I really enjoyed this conversation. I think you and I could probably end up talking for hours, right, on this. And so, maybe we'll have another round of a conversation at some point for our sort of listeners and audience and everything. But thank you for coming in today. I know, I think it's about 42 degrees out there. So coming through the heat's never that easy, but you appreciate you making the time.
Thank you for having me. It's been really good.
Great stuff. Thanks, Vinita.